From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. We're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. You can go online right now and buy your pizza at papajohns.com. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for Inbox, your email questions answered right here on video. Let's get to it. Barry with Isaiah. He says, with OU getting a weekend off before the Baylor game to heal up and better prepare their freshman starters on defense, does that time off advantage mean less with Baylor getting the same extra week into scheme against a now youthful and inexperienced OU defense?
The answer is yes, there's no advantage. Here's the deal. If Corey Nelson was nursing an injury or that he could come back from, if Jordan Phillips hadn't had back surgery, if Trey Millard had turned an ankle instead of wrenched a knee, yeah, then the extra 3 or 4 days would help the Sooners. But they're not getting these guys back from injury. Baylor doesn't fool you with their schemes. You know what they're doing. They're splitting off. They're going sideline to sideline, make you cover the field, open up running lanes, and away they go. So it's not a question of trying to figure out what to do. It's just a question of doing it. So the extra week or extra half week will help OU to some degree, but it's going to help Baylor too. So no advantage.
Yeah, I don't think there's much advantage either. But I tell you where it could come in handy is the defense and some of those guys you mentioned, young linebackers, for example, having a chance to watch a little bit more film, a few more days of film on Baylor. What are they doing and how are we supposed to line up compared to them? To me, that's where it could be of benefit to what Oklahoma's doing, because we've seen them have trouble in alignments with the guys that are filling in for Corey Nelson predominantly. So if those guys have a chance to be able to better see what's going on and see what the defense needs to do, to me, that could be a slight advantage, but you still got to stop it, and that's still going to be tough for Oklahoma. All right, on to the inbox from Don. He says, on using Roy Finch, does Quentin Griffin come to mind?
Well, yes, in that both of them are world-class limbo dancers. They can get under the pole pretty easy. They're both 5'6", 5'7". Outside of that, I don't see a lot of similarities. Roy Finch is, he's a jitterbug. He goes in, you can't find him. He's playing Pac-Man. Quentin Griffin was an old-fashioned tough tailback. Now, he had all kinds of slick moves inside, but he wasn't a speed burner. He wasn't real quick. He just was a really savvy, shifty tailback who was small and hard to get his hands on. Maybe that's the biggest similarity is they're both so small, they're hard to see, they're hard to get their hands on. But Griffin, a much better inside runner than Roy Finch.
Yeah, and I think Griffin, too, had a little more bulk to him. He was a little bit, better built. Not to say that Roy Finch is slight by any stretch, but Quentin Griffin could withstand a lot more of the punishment that comes with, playing that tailback position and getting a bunch of carries. Roy Finch, just not sort of the power guy. And so to say that the Sooners could use him as much as they used Quentin Griffin back in the day, I just don't think Roy Finch could do that. I don't think he could handle the amount of carries that Quentin Griffin had. I think you'd see his production fall way off. He's a guy that you have to use sort of sparingly to get the most out of him. I think their running styles may be slightly similar, but I just don't think they could use him the way they use Quentin Griffin. All right, back to the inbox, and Bob has our next question. Bob says, I think Tech will blow the Cowboys away. Polk's defense will get worn down and out. Cowboys have no pass attack and have a very persistent pattern of going 3 and out. That's a fairly gloomy picture there, Barry.
Gloom and doom in Lubbock, Texas, and here's the truth. If the OSU defense doesn't show up, it's going to be doom and gloom, but I think the Cowboys have a chance because of that defense. I'm picking Tech to win, but I don't think it's going to be an old OSU Tech type shootout where, first one to 40 wins. We've covered 52-49 games in OSU Tech history. Yeah. I think this game will be in the 20s. I think the OSU defense gives OSU a chance to keep it close, maybe win it at the end, but Bob is fundamentally right. Without a better passing attack, the Cowboys are in trouble.
Yeah, I think for the Cowboys to win, I think the defense, like they did at Iowa State, has to score some touchdowns. I'm also picking Tech to win, but I think it's going to be close. And you know what? If Tech turns over the ball, like we've seen them do, they turned it over 3 times last week at OU. If they continue to turn over the ball at that rate, OSU's defense has shown that they'll go out and score off of you. So, they may get some offense out of their defense. If that happens enough, don't be surprised if there's a Cowboy upset in Lubbock. All right, lastly from the inbox, Jim says, I hate to agree with Lou Holtz, but why shouldn't Alabama's quarterback, A.J. McCarron, be considered for the Heisman?
Well, I have a very good reason to tell Jim and Lou Holtz, because he's not close to the best player in America. Is A.J. McCarron a better football player than Johnny Manziel? Does he impact a game the way Marcus Mariota does at Oregon? The answer is no, he doesn't. I love A.J. McCarron. If I had a football team, he could be my quarterback any day. If I was an Alabama fan, I would love the guy. He just doesn't happen to be the best. Johnny Manziel changes the game. Marcus Mariota just dominates the game. A.J. McCarron doesn't do that. It's not a team award, it's an individual award. If you don't like that, get rid of the award. Don't change the parameters.
Yeah, and to me, Jameis Winston is a guy that you have to consider too, and his impact on games he plays in. I'm not a Heisman voter anymore, but I was for a lot of years, and when I voted for the Heisman, I looked at individual success and team success. Because if you're a great individual player, you're probably going to have an impact on your team's success. I think A.J. McCarron does have a big impact on Alabama's success, but his individual talent is just not up there with the rest of those guys. So, yeah, does he check one of those boxes? Absolutely. Does he check all the boxes? I just don't think you can put him in the conversation with the rest of those guys right now. Now, maybe he has a huge game at some point this year where he wins the ball game or wins a couple ball games, but we haven't seen that yet from A.J. McCarron. Great quarterback, not a Heisman Trophy contender. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.